Hi everyone, welcome to Southern Sands Ranch, where we are trying to turn a sandy plot into something that is usable for people and animals. This is our first video, and we'd like to kind of give you a tour of the property. Steve will be joining me on some of these videos, but he's working right now. So first, let me show you what we've got, what we're working with. This is what we're working with. So the property we bought about 5 acres over the summer, and we were able to move sometime in November, I guess. And this is property that had previously been logged, maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, something like that. You see they've left kind of a mess with some of this. And the soil, as you can see, is sandy. When my grandson came to visit not too long ago, he came for spring break. We were walking down to the mailbox, and he said, "This is just like the desert." And then we found a cactus, and he was convinced we lived in the desert. That's Rusty and Andy that are walking back and forth. But we've got a lot of just wood, grasses, brush. No big trees. Like I said, it was logged recently. Got a lot of pine. We got some trees we can't identify. We're not sure. Steve's thinking it might be some kind of oak, but I don't know. I'll walk up closer to one, and maybe somebody on here will help us out with what it is. Love to get some help and some input so that we can figure out what we got and how we can use it. Get over here where we can see it a little bit better. This is one of these trees. I don't know how well you can see that, but I'll get a picture of the leaves, the bark. Anyway, if anybody knows what that is, we'd love, come on boys, Rusty, come on. We would love to get your input there. So what have we done so far? Well, I think we've done a lot, considering we were trying to do it in the winter. It doesn't get real cold here, but it got a bit chilly for a few weeks. We are in the south, and we are 60, 70 miles from the ocean, something like that. As the crow flies, it might be a little closer. Or that may be the way the crow flies, I'm not sure. But this is our driveway. We had our driveway cut. As it is, it's just a dirt driveway. Eventually, we would love to have it graveled, but that's kind of way down on our list right now. We have a lot of other things going on. We had a container brought out here. It's basically where we moved all of our stuff from the house that we moved out of. Got a camper set up, which is where we currently live until we can get a house built, which will be sometime. I'm not exactly sure when that's going to happen, but we're working on it. One of the things that delayed that, there were a lot of things that delayed that, but one of the things that delayed that was we wanted to buy the property next to us, and it was in probate. So we just put an offer in on it, and it was accepted. So we will be purchasing 13 acres beside us. So we'll have about an 18 little over 18-acre spread, just a hair over 18. And so we wanted to put the house on that part of the property, and we really couldn't do that until we owned the property. But like I said, there are some other things, not the least of which is funds. Here is a not so healthy cactus or cacti that my grandson would have been convinced that we live in a desert, but we don't, believe it or not. I don't think there are any deserts in South Carolina. So we have a solar array. That's how we get our electricity. When I tell my friends that we live off grid, I think they believe that we live like Little House on the Prairie, that we, have a wood stove to cook in, that we have to do everything by lantern light, and, we're living very primitively. We actually live a pretty modern lifestyle. Other than we do hang our clothes out on the line. And I wash clothes in the sink or in my cool little wash tub that Steve bought me, which is a Wonder Wash right there. I'll put a link to that down in the notes, so that if you're interested in doing that, you can. It's kind of a nifty little trick. I enjoy it. I'll have to do a video showing that at some point. But anyway, there's Home Sweet Home, the camper. We compost as much as we can, so we've got a little compost area there. This is our building for our dogs. We have 7 dogs, and their kennels are all in there, and they have a nice little fenced area that Steve set up for them, so we've been able to accomplish that. We had all of this cleared. We had about, I don't know, maybe 2 acres cleared. There's a lot more to go. We've got Steve, who is working on this coop. It's going to be a chicken coop. We have rain catchment set up so we can catch rain. Provides water right now. We will get a well dug here for too long, but Rusty loves to check on the birds. We got some birds in here. So, go on, Andy. Andy, you've already got dirty. Yellow dogs always get dirty. All right. I'll show you our guys in here. We've got some ducks that Steve picked up at Tractor Supply. I went to the feed store today, and they had Rhode Island Reds and Buff Orpingtons, so we have 21 birds in there. Next week, some more birds will be added to that because I had already ordered some from a hatchery. So here we are. Over there, the cabinets over there are going to be some mealworm farming. Come on, Rusty. And I'll get some videos of that done too. We try to think ahead. We've got some pools there for when the ducks and the geese are a little bit older. We've got a martin house that some other birds are trying to move into because they've got nesting in there. I'm not sure what they are, but they're not martins. Got a little tractor. I got a lab in the pool. Imagine that. More water catchment over there. We've just got IBC totes that are there. We got Andy wanting to swim. Like I said, imagine a lab, not in the water. Over here is part of the land. It'll go quite a ways that way. And this is kind of just an introduction to our little homestead. We'll be adding things and doing things and trying things as we go along. So I don't know if you can see him, but there's a cat in the window. That's Yankee. He likes to be part of everything. But we're going to be trying things. We'll show you the good, the bad, the ugly. As we make progress, we'll show you that. And as we fail, we'll show you that, because how else can you learn but to try and fail and try again until you get it right. So Steve got those barrels today. We're going to be using them for more water for the animals. Considering how many birds and dogs we already have, there's a lot of water being used. So that'll be real helpful to collect more water. We can collect it off the buildings here. And we will, I hope you've enjoyed this introduction, and we will see you next time. Over here is where we would eventually like to put our home when we build. Like I said, it'll be a little while yet. Sunsets are very pretty over there. Looks like there was perhaps a homestead over here at one time, or a home of some sort. We found a lot of debris, some things that looked like it might have been a foundation at one time. Big hole, I'm not sure what that might have been. We need to dig around and, see if there was a well or something. There's some, like a block that's probably some sort of foundation. It's a lot of old stuff. A box spring over there. Some metal that could have possibly been roofing. There's some fencing. Some old bottles I'm going to come out here and collect at some point, because I think it's pretty cool. There's something here. What is this, Andy? A stick that won't dig anything. How about you? You going to help me? You going to help me? Huh? It's like an old plate or bowl or something. What is it? Huh? Huh? I'm not sure what that is. We'll have to come back and move out of the way, buddy. Well, maybe he'll help me dig a little bit. See what that is. Looks like an old pan or something of some sort. We'll let Andy work on it a little bit. He looks like he's enjoying that a whole lot more than I was. Puppies are cute. Some more blocks. Some more metal. Did you give up over there? Yeah, we'll dig it up later. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff to dig up. Some baby food jars. Some, like I said, I'm going to try to collect the glassware that is not broken and try to make some kind of decorative item, just something from the property, because I think that'll be kind of cool to make something from, just found stuff here. Like maybe old beer bottles or something. Some barbed wire, gotta watch out. That kind of thing. An old shoe. I mean, obviously there's signs of life. Over here, an old burn barrel, it looks like. An old tire. It's kind of a neat place to explore. There's some shotgun shells. We were under the impression when we moved here that this piece of property had never had anybody on it. Obviously, based on this debris, somebody was living here in some fashion, but it was probably many, many years ago. I mean, you see what the condition is. There's obviously no house. I assume maybe, I don't know, maybe it burned down, maybe, who knows. Maybe it was just not much more than a shack. Don't know. Really just don't know. It would be interesting to learn the history, but I'm not sure how we would ever do that. There's just, neat little debris items that are here. An old can, which that's looking a little more modern, but who knows. I know the land was logged, so there's every possibility that, that the loggers use this area also. But some of the items are much older than that would have been, so. But, once they found it, they may very well have found a clearing to sit down and have a drink, have their lunch, something like that. But anyway, over here, once we clean up the debris, and at least in this kind of area, maybe back here, we'd like to put our home somewhere along in this area. It's towards the back of the property. It's away from the road. We're already quite far back in the property. And that's the way we like it. We don't really want to be too close to the road. We like our privacy and like some isolation. Where we lived before, we were quite close to the road, and there were sirens and emergency vehicles at all hours and all sorts of things that we don't have issues with here. So we're quite happy about that. But anyway, another peek at some things that we're planning to do. So I hope you enjoyed that introduction to Southern Sands Ranch, and we will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.